Hello and welcome to Group Chat. I am Justin Verrier, and joining me for this special addendum edition of Group Chat, it's Big Woz. What's up, Woz?
I'm good, man. Yeah, it's an addendum. I'm out here in the deep south, the antebellum south, some would say, out in South Carolina, here for the union of the future Mr. and Mrs. Kiki and Chris Jones. So shouts to the future and current happy couple. But yeah, man, we had some NBA breaking news, so we had to hop on and address the situation, Justin.
That's right. Woz is in the deep south. I'm in the war zone in Portland, just struggling to get through to the microbreweries of the world because there's just so much chaos going on here. No, there's absolutely nothing going on in Portland, despite what you may have heard. But there is something going on with the Lakers, a team that we talk about in this upcoming edition of the preseason power rankings. This is part 5, is what you're going to hear. We recorded those in advance at the end of September. And funnily enough, we didn't talk much about LeBron, which is pretty telling about where the Lakers are at this point. They're kind of leaning into being a Luka Doncic team at this point. But we also didn't have the news that we got this week that LeBron is actually going to be out to start a season pretty much for the first time in his entire career. He's expected to be reevaluated in 3 to 4 weeks with sciatica on his right side, which means that he won't be reevaluated perhaps until the start of November, maybe late October. And so from there, he might miss some more time. So we might be talking about December, mid-November until we get LeBron basketball, which is odd to say. But Woz, my first thought about this whole thing is that sciatica just seems like an old guy issue. Bro. And it really just hammered home how old and like deep into LeBron's career we actually are.
Bro, this is how we know he's in his Robert Parrish on the Bulls era of his career. Cause I'm like, what's like an old fogey ailment that he could have got that would have been like worse than sciatica? I'm like glaucoma. It's like what are the ailments beyond this that would have been like, wow, this cat is old. At the same time, I think because he's so advanced in his career, I think we kind of baked in the idea that LeBron would miss games this year. It's just going to be the reality of LeBron seasons going forward, limited that they may be, that he's gonna miss a decent amount of games no matter what the situation is. And I don't think I think it should be expected and is baked in. And that's why it's like so important and imperative that they did trade for Luka Doncic. They did extend him, and he's now, quote unquote, in the best shape of his life. That's what you need that for.
Right. Yeah, sciatica is a weird one because I don't think you could just have some sort of procedure or, work it out in a certain way and all of a sudden you're back in. It's really just a maintenance sort of thing. I honestly hear about it more often because I watch a lot of these chiropractor videos online where they do like the cracks and whatnot, which is satisfying in a weird and almost concerning way. But I think they really just have to take their time, allow him to rest it out and then go from there. And so you're right. Maybe this is the type of thing that lingers not only past this 3 to 4 weeks kind of timeline, but perhaps into the season. The other part of this, though, that we should talk about, which we should always talk about with LeBron, is what if this isn't actually what they say it is? We had the whole thing in the summer. Didn't seem like he was happy that they were leaning more into Luka Doncic. And lo and behold, after nothing happens, after he stays on the Lakers, he's not there to start the season.
Is this like a quiet quitting, silent protest kind of situation? I don't have any indication that that's what this is. All the reporting, everything that I've heard from anybody that I've talked to, this seems to be pretty legitimate. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers are just being extra cautious because of the age and because, again, they have another horse, a younger horse to lean on and sort of carry them through this early stretch. And so, I wouldn't be surprised if it was just more so that they were being super cautious with the guy and not that LeBron is kind of, because you remember the training camp situation, like the way they described his load management situation for this year was like it was like going to be an unprecedented level of load management. So maybe that does tie into this. But until we get some other indications to the contrary, I'm willing to believe that this is like completely legitimate and that the guy just needs to give his body a little bit more time before he fully ramps into regular season mode.
Yeah, on the one hand, he's old, and so these are the type of things that pop up when you're old. We know this probably better than anybody else. Like when you get toward 40, like things just start aching and you can't really do anything about it. You just have to manage it going forward. On the other hand, sciatica is the type of thing where it's like, how can you tell someone that they are capable of playing through this sort of thing? It's a pain management issue. And so if he says all of a sudden, like he just didn't get enough sleep the night before because he went out partying before a game, like, oh, my sciatica's acting up. Like, you literally can't say anything. And that's compounded by the fact that JJ Redick is out here saying to the press, like, LeBron is on his own timeline, which could be pointed. It sounded pointed, but JJ also has a way of saying things in a way that sound more nefarious than they probably actually are.
Yeah. And also, I feel like JJ, of all people, would be on board with LeBron and how he's managing things. I think there's a pretty decent, healthy respect between those two. And if LeBron, in so much as he has a problem with the Lakers and what's been expressed through the media, it's with management, who, by the way, ain't even really management no more. Like, Jeannie Buss doesn't own the team anymore. Rob Pelinka, he's on borrowed time. Like, who are you really mad at this point? Can't be the new ownership that barely knows you. So he's just got to just take it one step at a time, man.
Yeah. So we had the Lakers 7th in the power rankings to spoil just a little bit of the show that you're going to hear at going forward on this one. Would you look at them any differently knowing that LeBron could miss somewhere around a month in the season?
I don't.
At minimum.
I don't. And the main reason is because I base my power rankings on what do I think these guys can do in the postseason. And so I think, and what I mean by that is if there were a playoff game in 2 days, LeBron and his sciatica would be out there, And so I haven't really changed how I feel about the Lakers. I think if Luka's on his revenge tour started with the revenge body, I think he was coming into the season ready to shoulder a certain level of burden. And that's just going to be accelerated by LeBron missing these games. And if anybody's able to do this sort of one-man wrecking crew kind of thing, it's Luka. He's demonstrated that in his previous stop in Dallas. Like, top 4, top 3 MVP type of finishes with rosters that were less talented than this one, even without LeBron. So I'm not too worried about in terms of the Lakers and their pecking order. Again, I priced in and baked in LeBron having nagging, annoying injuries because of the age. And again, knowing that Luka is so highly motivated in a way he's literally never been in his entire pro career, this kind of feeds into more of that to me.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron probably at this stage matters more to their ceiling and what they're going to do in the playoffs than what they're going to do in the regular season for all the reasons that you mentioned. I think we expected them to be a little bit more week to week during the regular season because of all the different management that needs to go on with this team, and also the fact that they have to cobble together a defense around a lot of offensive juice in that backcourt with Reeves, LeBron, and Luka Doncic. It's to the point where even in preseason, DeAndre Ayton is looking around being like, I actually haven't played with Luka and LeBron at the same time. So like they haven't even really put their whole team together on the practice court before the season starts. So this is just kind of how it's going to be with the Lakers. So I agree. I would put them at 7 as we have them. Anything else you want to get into? Like, there's been a couple other injuries that have happened, but surprisingly enough, when we started the power rankings journey, nothing major that would have really derailed.
Crazy has happened. And in terms of other Lakers, this is definitely a Rui Hachimura moment. Like, I would expect that his minutes and workload will be increased by this LeBron absence. And the same with Austin Reeves. He's going to be the other ball handling, ball dominant offensive driver on the team. Even when LeBron and Luka are on the floor, he does a pretty decent amount of that. But I think he's definitely going to be thrust into a more prominent role now that LeBron is out. So those two guys I expect to step up in LeBron's absence.
That's right. No emergency topper when Scoot Henderson goes down, but when LeBron James misses a couple weeks, not for the hard-working Americans up here in the Pacific Northwest, just the finely manicured Angelinos out there. All right, let's wrap it there. What you'll hear now is what we recorded for part 5 of the preseason power rankings with Rob Mahoney in Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago. So enjoy that. We'll talk to you soon. Hello and welcome to Group Chat. I am Justin Verrier, and joining me for part 5 of the preseason power rankings, we got Big Woz. We got Rob Mahoney here. Week 3 of the power rankings. Definitely not the third straight day that we are recording these pods back to back to back in lovely Los Angeles. As you know by now, we're starting every pod with a little team building.
Yeah.
Thanks to our friend Rob.
I'm very excited about this one today. I have been, figuring out which questions we're going to be talking about. I have been mulling this particular question over. I've gone back and forth. I've had many different answers. I want to see where you guys land. Your house, containing everything that you own, catches fire.
Oh.
After saving your loved ones and your pets, they're all out and safe. You have time to get one thing safely out of your house. What is the thing you're going back for?
Is it bad that my first instinct was my laptop?
Same.
Because I do most of my life on this
It's
thing.
true.
here.
Same. 100% it's my laptop.
Really?
Because that's what's definitely going to keep me most comfortable in my time of, grief and distress.
You
Like
watch Netflix as you watch your house go
right,
up.
like Netflix, insurance company problems,
Yep.
this, that, like figuring out a new place. But I'm gonna be doing all of that on my lap. Not to mention personal me time.
You are a millennial.
on there.
Yeah. If you're younger than us, you have your phone and you're probably fine. For us, if we're doing
Yeah.
anything serious, it demands a laptop.
100%. I don't like booking flights on my phone. I don't. Yeah, anything that I think is like real
If
serious.
this
yeah.
is serious, you get
it
out the
needs to
laptop.
be on the computer.
You get a pop-up on your phone, like I'm thrown for a day. Like I just can't do anything. I just throw it away. I just don't have any sort of like family heirloom that was
Yeah.
passed down from generation to generation.
I mean, that's a go-to, right? It's
Yeah.
like something sentimental that could not possibly be replaced. I can
Yeah.
get the thinking with that, and I'm sure lots of people have those items or photos that aren't digitized or whatever it is that they want to hold on to. I found that as I was thinking about this, any item I picked, it felt like too much pressure on that item to then have to keep it for the rest of my life or keep it safe for the foreseeable future.
right.
I ultimately landed on, I just want the blank slate. I just want to be free.
everything.
I want to be free of my material possessions.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of all of it and let's really rebuild back stronger with only what we need.
I like this idea, Rob, because we got enough like environmentally conscious people in all of our lives, and like the idea, like those sneakers you dropped off at Goodwill are just gonna end up in a landfill.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Do you guys know the George Carlin bit about his stuff? It's a classic. You got to look it up, but it really hammers home. It's just like, do we need all this stuff?
Like
Can't we just shed our
obviously
skin?
don't.
we just don't.
I know.
Straight up.
But I'll say this, the less intense version of this is what I did coming back from New Orleans, moving back to LA. I just kind of let everything go for
Yeah.
the most part. I had all of my stuff in storage as I went to Connecticut for like a month or two. And I was like, oh, I'll pick it up eventually. But when I moved back, I was just like, do I need a bunch of utensils and IKEA furniture and
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff?
Well, so what happened? Did you have to pay someone to take it out of the
No,
unit?
they
Well-
repossessed it probably.
They just took it?
It was a storage wars storage.
Wow.
No, I didn't do that. I had a friend who sold off some of it while she
Okay.
was still down there. And then I stopped in to take all the stuff that I still wanted. And then I gave some away. Unfortunately, the storage container place was like, you actually have to put some of this stuff in the dumpster. So I spent 2 days doing that. But I will say, looking back on it, it was a pain in the fucking ass. You do not realize how much like a toilet paper holder
Yeah.
costs.
Right.
And like your random forks that you don't care about, but that's like $20 on top of $20. It's like, it's a terrible idea. If you could hold on to even the basic essentials, I think
It's
that's what we
true.
gotta do.
That part is true. The hassle of replacing the essential stuff would be unfortunate. And
Like
that's where
getting a new iron.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff is
Yes.
just kind of boring. And you know what? Most crucially, doesn't give you the dopamine hit of buying something you're excited about. Like,
Yeah.
part of the point of having the sneakers is the thrill of buying the sneakers.
Yeah.
And you don't get that when you're just replacing forks and
You
irons.
know what? I was just thinking about this now. Now that you say essentials, there's probably like a couple like all clad pans that I own
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
that are supposed to be lifetime heirlooms that would just go poof up his, but maybe it would survive
I was
the
going to say,
fire.
I've got good news. I think they would be fine.
That's
Whoa.
crazy to think about. So I
I've-
could go back and just grab that shit.
I've
some
seen
options.
I've seen all clads saved from all manner of disrepair. Like, I think
Wow.
those things are kind of immortal.
Wow. Are you asking this question specifically because Jonathan Kuminga is what you would save from the Golden State Warriors?
Oh my God.
You know what? I don't think if push came to shove, that is the piece of the roster that they would hold on to.
Well, number 10 on our list, number 1 team on the docket today, the Golden State Warriors. I have to say, like in the post LeBron to Miami sort of era in media, like we'd gotten accustomed to routine updates for certain players as they were going through what Kuminga is going through now. It was more around the range of like the Carmelo Anthony types. And for a while, it was maybe like once a week or whenever he like played New York, we would get a bit of a fervor. It has since accelerated to the point where we're getting just like a regular updates, probably daily, if not like every couple of hours. It's one thing if it was Kevin Durant before his free agency. It's a little different when we're getting to a restricted free agent who isn't pretty good. Like he's fine. He might be good.
Might be good.
I think we've had enough of this. I think ESPN is covering this as we're recording this at the end of September. Like this is Iran Contra. I just don't need this in my life.
I think the Warriors just generate a lot of interest generally.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. But like we did a whole podcast before the show. I think people are just interested because this is just a new situation in the NBA.
Yeah.
Where teams can just bully a guy who he's not a two-way player. He's not a 10-day contract. He's like a guy we think is gonna be in the NBA for at least 7-8 more years.
I would think he'll be around.
Right? And he's just being treated like a nothing burger by the organization. Like they just don't care to bully this guy.
Yeah.
And that's new. That's what's fascinating to me about the story. Is like this young guy who's shown promise can't get a deal.
Yeah. Or it's that it's just so transparent that neither side wants to be in business with each other.
Yes.
But they have to come to an agreement in order to just part ways.
I think that's the part of it that feels a little bit new or at least specific to the situation. Like Jonathan Kuminga is not an important Golden State Warrior as a player, or at least not a very valued one, it seems, based on the way that they've treated him over the last couple of years. But they need to get something for him if they're going to trade him. Like they need him as a piece to facilitate whatever it is they actually want to do.
Yeah. It's also partly a Joe Lacob versus perhaps the desires of his front office and chiefly probably Steve Kerr, who's outright said like, I don't want to play him. I don't really see him as a part of what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So it's hard to leverage or like to negotiate against that position when it's out there and pretty frequent.
And I think it's important to say also that the Lakers kind of, this is something they pride themselves on, sort of being hard negotiators. And we could do the history. They kind of like semi-played hardball with Steph, which I thought was just unconscionable at the time, but they did it. They did it with Draymond. They did it with Iguodala. They did it with Klay Thompson. If you guys remember the last deal that he had signed with Golden State, there was so much consternation around that deal. So like they did that to legends, to literally the greatest players in the history of the organization. And now it's Kuminga's turn to get the treatment.
It's fair.
Well,
He's being treated like Steph. It's a compliment.
Yeah.
You know?
I imagine by the time you're listening to this, he will have signed some sort of deal. And it brings us to our existential question, which on a scale from 1 to 10, assuming that he's still on the team, they haven't signed and traded him, how much does he matter to the bottom line of this team to begin with?
I think it's quite a bit.
Yeah. 10 being the most. Where would you put it at?
7? And I say that in the sense that like they either need him to be productive or they need a productive player in his place. I just look at this roster and I see a lot of guys who are like, okay, I kind of like them as an 8th guy on a team, as a 9th guy on a team, and they're all playing a little over their heads in the rotation. Like they're deep in role players. And then at the top end, It's guys who are 36, 35, 37, now 39, presumably if Al Horford is going to be a part of this team, which we assume he will be. It makes me very nervous. And so the idea of having a young, springy forward who can get buckets is in theory appealing. Steve Kerr won't play him, certainly won't let him be that. I'm not even saying he should, but they need somebody who's going to produce in the regular season.
I have a question about that. Like, on a scale of Cason Wallace to Cam Johnson,
What is that scale?
role player contribution.
So what's the high end? Like who?
I think
You just
Cason
described
Wallace?
high to high as
I
far as
think
I'm
Cam
concerned.
Johnson is like the high end of like.
And Cason Wallace is the low end?
No, I'm not saying that's the lowest. I guess Isaiah Joe is the lowest end, right?
As far as like a guy who's in the rotation,
in the rotation, you
barely
say like
kind of
in the
on
regular
the
season,
edge.
he's doing well
Sure,
for the
sure.
rotation. So he's the low end, fine. But I just felt like it'd be kind of disrespectful to compare Kuminga to Isaiah Joe. No,
It is disrespectful, but Isaiah Joe will play the way a coach wants him to play.
so
Cam Johnson to Jake LaRavia, perhaps, or like Gabe Vincent.
sure.
I'm just thinking of role players.
Would I
Sure.
rather have Jonathan Kuminga or Jake LaRavia on my team is a question that I would have to sit and think about.
I don't know if I'd have to think.
But
that
what I'm
long.
asking is like, what could be reasonably expected from Jonathan Kuminga in terms of his contribution as a role player every single day by the Warriors this coming season? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Is it just Isaiah Joe? Like, would we be happy with that?
No, I think they would have to lean into him carrying a little bit of weight. It would have to be like,
got you,
can you be a 14 point a game scorer
got you.
coming off the bench, presumably?
So we're talking the higher end of role player contribution.
In terms of responsibility, for sure. Like, you may not feel great about every shot and every minute, but ultimately, like, they just need someone who's going to sop up usage and points and creativity. And I say that in particular because Jimmy Butler, while a terrific player, even still at this age,
He needs a spell, bro.
he need
Yeah.
well, it's not that he needs spells. He's going to take them whether he needs them or not. Like,
facts.
I mean, here's the thing. When do you guys think was the last time that Jimmy Butler played more than 65 games in an NBA season?
Was it the Philly Minnesota season?
It was not.
It was after that.
It was not.
Wow.
That's tough.
That's crazy.
2017 as a member of the Chicago Bulls.
Oh
That
boy.
was 8 years ago.
And, you know, Steph has had 2 relatively healthy seasons, but like picks up his share of
He's 40,
injuries.
yeah.
Like, these guys are older and you need a rotation to accommodate that. And I don't think that rotation is like, we're just going to play Moses Moody more, who I like, but I
Yeah.
don't like to do that.
Well, that's where I wonder if the depth of old guys that they're presumably going to bring in,
Yeah.
it's Al Horford, D'Anthony Melton, Seth Curry, is that enough to mitigate needing Kuminga as much? I agree with what you're saying is they need some sort of pop to supplement the old guys. But if we have just enough old guys, is that enough to get us by?
But here's the rub, though. You think you're Golden State, and it's like, we're going to need you to do X, Y, and Z. Kuminga comes back and says, well, then you should pay me to do X, Y, and Z.
That would be a very reasonable thing for him to ask.
You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, this impasse, it's like, what do you think about this player? You know, because it feels like, again, like Golden State is trying to have their cake and eat it too. Because, again, what's been out there is 2 years, $44 million with a team option on the second year, which, like, if you're Jonathan Kuminga, where it's like they've had you on a trade block, they've basically spent the summer telling you you're not worth a damn.
Yeah.
And then they're like, nah, we'll lock you in on a nice pay bump. But like, yeah, we could trade you whenever we want. You won't hit unrestricted free agency to choose your own destiny for another 2 years. It's like, which one is it, guys?
Where's his motivation
Yeah.
to actually buy into what you need him to do?
Yeah.
Which is why I would put this probably closer to a 4. I just don't see a path where he's going to be motivated
That's-
to do what you want, and what he does and what he wants to do typically just doesn't really fit what they need. He'll have the occasional 20-something point scoring game when certain guys are out or hurt or whatever, which is fine. That gets you through the drudgery of the regular season. I just, in terms of bottom line proposition, I just don't think he'll matter that much for the Warriors this season, which is kind of why I had them lower than the Spurs when I was ranking them initially.
Yeah, I just think if he was a 7, like Rob suggested, he wouldn't be in this predicament.
Well, to be clear, I think he's a 7 because either Kuminga or the trade is important.
They need a 7.
They need somebody.
Yeah.
And it could be him grousing about, kind of producing, kind of
Who's
not.
on Sacramento that could be a 7 for them?
Malik Monk?
I don't know.
The problem is they've already got a lot of guards.
They do. Yes. And
So he's
Pajemski, Monk, Steph,
it's
Seth,
Melton.
Yeah.
Melton.
Who, I mean, if Melton's
Do not forget
healthy.
D'Anthony Melton. Don't you dare.
the only problem is you tend to forget him because he's just not around.
It's
He's played
true.
44
Yeah,
games
never
over the
forget
past 2
that.
years.
Yet another injury risk on this team.
We talked a lot going into last season about Melton being that perfect combo guard to be around some of the guys that they had at the time. Now Jimmy's in there. We should mention the team was excellent
Yeah.
at the end of regular season.
So here's the thing. Like from the
The-
time Jimmy joined the team,
Yeah.
they were the equivalent of a top 5 offense for the whole season, like the numbers equivalent, a top 2 defense,
That's
and a
crazy.
point differential that was right in line with Cleveland and Boston.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of reasons to think that that's not sustainable over the course
No.
of a full season. And I think some of it is physical with all these older guys and potential for injury. Some of it is also just mental of like the
They were on a
psychological.
sprint to try to make it to the real playoffs.
This is exactly it. They were hard sprinting to the end. You could tell that it took a toll even doing that. They are not going to be on that pace for 82.
no,
They're still going to be really good.
but they can. The point is, they can reach that
Yes.
ceiling when the time calls for it, and so that's why, like, I'm bullish on the Warriors this season. I would just really love to see a resolution to this Kuminga thing.
Yeah. I like them probably more as a playoff team than as a regular season
Sure.
team. Because
Right.
actually, if Milton does play as well as he can, and Horford is as spry as he looked even last season,
Yeah.
moving around, which is unbelievable that he's still able to get around because that's a big old boy making those moves and keeping track with much younger players. He and Milton round out the core 3 in a way that they probably haven't in a little while at
Yeah.
this point. And so I just don't know if they'll get there. And if they do get there, what's their seed? Because in the Western Conference, it's going to be a bloodbath. And I do think matchups are going to dictate things. We already saw that last year
For
with
sure.
Clippers and Nuggets going head to head in round 1. Like, we're at a point with the West where matchups might dictate who wins the title more than it had been 10 years ago when it's like the usually best team wins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And we know as soon as going into the playoffs that is the dominant team.
I think that's true. And then you have to ask, like, what are the matchups that are advantageous for Golden State? If they do get to the playoffs fully healthy, who at the top of the conference do we feel good about them matching up with? OKC feels a little overwhelming in
Yeah.
terms of the length and athleticism. It feels like the kind of matchup where if they could jam up Steph a little bit off ball, it could be incredibly disruptive to their offense. Houston, I think, and we've seen,
Houston is a good matchup for them.
I don't know about good. Like a Houston team with Kevin Durant is a very different proposition ultimately.
Is
But
it?
if you're going to pick and choose, if you're the Warriors, probably rather the Rockets than the Thunder. The Nuggets, I don't know that Al Horford is helping you contain
No.
Nikola Jokic. I don't think that's like
No.
the solution to that matchup per se.
Yeah.
No, just the physicality part. Like, love Horford, love Draymond, 2 of the best defensive bigs of their generation.
Yeah.
These guys are older. They can't stop Nikola Jokic.
This is the thing, like, as we're talking through that, what I'm hearing is that the Warriors are like the Djokovic of the NBA. It's like there's Alcaraz over here, there's Giannis Sinner over there. They're in a class on their own. No one else can beat Djokovic. Like, I think if you're the Warriors, you could go into the season thinking like, why would we be scared of any of
the
these
Lakers,
other West
the
teams?
Clippers,
I think they could talk
deal with
themselves
those
into thinking
guys.
that they could beat those teams, right or not. Like the Wolves too.
the
in that
Wolves,
mix.
yeah.
A healthy crack with Steph, like maybe we would have a
Yeah.
different chance. I think they could talk themselves into that.
Which is why they end up 10th on our rankings, but 7th in the West teams that we have because we only have
Yeah.
a couple more East teams to go here. Anyone else we want to talk about?
Buddy Hield.
Yeah.
I think the Jimmy Buddy stuff is not just like good comedy, but they're just like a good basketball pairing. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of those things that Steve Kerr should not like tether them together per se, but find as many minutes as you can for those guys to be on the floor together.
the buddy system.
The buddy system.
There you go.
We're safer together. I don't know who's going to start. Like if I assume that's kind of Pajemski's job to lose at the start of the year, maybe, but
Oof.
Buddy's worth a look in that spot. D'Anthony Melton, if he's healthy,
To
could
me,
be a look.
Pajemski should be bench.
Bench.
Yeah.
I mean, they could use the playmaking, to be honest.
Yes. Like Pajemski when he's on, but then you see in the playoffs when he's not. Like
to me, Steph,
he's too small.
Draymond, Jimmy, that's plenty of playmaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, go do your playmaking on the bench against bench units.
Well, from one team that has a lot to figure out before this pod gets published to another one that has a world of possibilities that could happen between now and then. We have the Los Angeles Clippers at number 9. I kind of waffled on how to rank them because I was like, should I factor in that they might not have Kawhi or that something might go awry in between
You
now
mean
and
not have Kawhi for what?
well, for a variety of reasons.
For injury or
maybe our guy Adam is just like,
I don't
"They
know.
gone."
guys?
I doubt
I'm
it.
here to
Yeah.
make a prediction.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard is not going to be Joe Smith from this team. It's not happening.
I also think whatever penalty is issued, it will not be to him.
Probably because it helps get that out of their hair
I
finally.
mean, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, I would expect that as well. But it's going to be looming over the season. I mean, there recent, maybe not reports, but scuttlebutt that suggests it might wait until after the All-Star break because All-Star is in Los Angeles at
Yeah.
the Intuit Dome where the Clippers play. And so maybe they'll try to sidestep that.
Mm.
I don't know, but I think this is going to be weird for a while. And
Oh, yeah.
ultimately, I ended up settling on the fact like I have to treat them as if that doesn't exist. And so I rated them highly because I think highly of what they did this offseason, but you just never know.
To me, their most important players, like one, like, is this going to be a weirder media situation than General Kawhi?
Well, that's actually a great point because I have written
No.
down, is this
It's
going to
not.
phase Kawhi at all?
No.
No.
Yeah, I don't think
He
will.
doesn't care.
Yeah.
I promise you, this is the thing he cares the least about is media perception. He just doesn't care. Like, it doesn't factor into his equation of what's like important, which is like getting paid and being the best hooper he could be.
Do you think, like James Harden, he doesn't have the internet?
Wait, what?
There's this whole thing about James Harden a couple years ago where he's like, I don't have the internet. I don't go on it.
That seems improbable. in
Harden
does.
2025.
is another one who's never really tried to craft a public image.
Yeah.
And like, if you listen to his interactions with the media, it's always stilted and bullshit.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be more Harden being stilted and bullshit. It's really easy. This is the thing about this story with the Clippers. And again, Pablo's my man. I love the Lebatard people. At a certain point, we're powerless in this.
Who's we?
The media.
Mm.
We could try to make this a big deal, but if Adam and the owners don't make it a big deal, it's not going to be a big deal.
I mean, that part is true, but I do think Pablo has made it a big deal. I think
Yeah.
he has made this a major
He's
story.
gotten a lot of attention on it.
Yes.
Yes.
But like in terms of
Well-
getting something done,
See, I would say it's more than attention because I think the way that the reporting has come out,
Yeah.
it's been a lot of like, here's initial findings, here's a soft rebuttal from the Clippers that does nothing. And then you can see the mounting evidence sort of building a wall around any plausible deniability.
Yeah, the follow-up reports were important because I think the initial report was met with some skepticism, especially from certain media types that were suggesting, like, do they have the smoking gun? Is there enough to hold their feet to the fire? Pablo keep coming up with stuff is basically applying more and more pressure to where that they can't push it under the rug and just say, like, we didn't find anything in our investigation, even though the investigation was probably
what I would
not all that
say where
thorough.
I slightly disagree with you guys is that Pablo being the only one on this is kind of proof of what I'm saying. Like something different, like somebody
I think
would
that
have
has a lot more to say about the reporting landscape than it does about
I agree.
maybe
interest in the story.
Maybe, but what I'm saying is like something big would come out, which Pablo breaks.
Yep.
It's like, yo, there's something happening over here. And every other part of the media would have been like, here's my part of it. Here's my part of it. It's like, it's Bruce Arthur being like, yo, Uncle Dennis was like asking for the world
right.
from the Raptors. That's it.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is like, again, if Adam and them decide we're not doing anything with this.
Yes.
It's over. It's done. There's nothing anybody could do or say about it. And I don't think fans are going to be like, we're boycotting the Clipper games because
no.
they got Kawhi Leonard.
They were doing that anyway, just because they just weren't as interested.
It's a soft boycott.
Yeah, I think it speaks to where NBA media gets its information. And I'm not even knocking them because this is just how the job works. Like, you get it from NBA types of people, whereas this is a story that's much more business oriented. It's in the courts, it's on paper, and it's within one company. And Pablo spent the time in order to develop the trust of the people who actually work there.
Yes. It's in fintech. Like, this is so outside of our normal realm of coverage, and the reporting chain is so different. I do think the things that can force hands here, one, any kind of arbitration, right? Like it's one thing to have an investigation. It's another thing when there's like binding arbitration with actual concrete findings. That could be something real. As far as the public opinion goes, I think a lot of that sways with the rest of the NBA's governors. Like, at what point is it, Mark Cuban out here kind of defending in some ways what the Clippers have done, or at least like saying, oh, this is normal, these are standard business practices. At what point do the billionaires break ranks? At what point is this something that is not offensive, but like agitates other owners to the point that they would be pissed off, that they would want retribution, they would want actual results from this?
So this is the thing to me, is that we've seen them sort of buck back against each other before. Prime example, LeBron in the decision. And they're like, you know what? We're disallowing signing trades, and that can't happen again, right? Or, just KD leaving OKC. It's like, oh, we got to come up with the Derrick Rose rule, or they always react when they feel like they've been wronged somehow by the system.
Yeah.
Nobody's moving
yet.
I do think, and I don't mean to be Pollyannish about this, I do think this is a case where like the public actually has power here, and not to make it more of a political thing, but like the reason why Jimmy Kimmel was put back on the air was like the people affected the bottom line or threatened the bottom line of Disney. Whereas like, I think if enough people threaten the bottom line of the NBA, then it will motivate.
I would disagree.
Okay.
I would say that wasn't public pressure. That's powerful people in the industry being like, I'm off your Marvel shit. I'm not working on that. I'm not writing that. I'm not starring in that. I'm not directing that. People with actual power and influence.
That's fair.
Moving the needle. Not us plebes at the bottom. Like, the Clippers, they went to the second round 3 times since they got Kawhi Leonard. I'm sick of their cheating. But it's not going to happen.
To that point, though, if enough owners think that the bottom line is going to be affected.
Owners, yes. But
that's people being like, it's almost what the story you believe in. And if you have, it's a group of 30 people, 30 individuals, essentially, if like 5 of them believe enough of the public discourse, then that has effect.
Yeah, if we sort of drill down to it, right? Like, cap circumvention exists so that there could be quote unquote even distribution of talent around the league, right? It's like, that's the reason we have the cap. It's like to control the spending that you can do to acquire talent.
Yes.
Right? Like,
it's not baseball.
There needs to, like, somebody would have to show that the Clippers like disproportionately held the talent via this cap circumvent. It's like, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't doubt that shady shit is happening. I'm actually pretty convinced that what they did was shady.
Yeah.
And not above board in a way that is just like everybody would be just, open the books, the communications, blah, blah, blah. I'm convinced of that. But I'm talking about where you connect it to where it's effed up, where it's like the Clippers gained unfair advantages that ruined the results for a bunch of other fan bases. It's just not there.
Right. They were able to re-sign Derrick Jones Jr. or something like that on the fringes. It probably was. But I mean, just getting Kawhi in the first place and retaining
that would be the undue advantage, is getting Kawhi.
Which is a bottom line proposition in its own
Laker
way.
fans would have to bitch about it.
Well, it's also,
they were the only other team in the running.
Let me tell you, they already are.
It's like Steve Ballmer was definitely paying for that shiny new arena, but like Kawhi helped,
Sure.
He's definitely putting a lot of money into that system just by being there still in the second run. So
I think we're wading into untimely news pegs by the time this publishes, to the point that I think we need to reserve the right to just ADR this whole segment. We'll just redub ourselves, having a different argument as the new results and information come out over the next couple weeks. But I do think we're not going to hear substantial movement on this for months.
Should we just do one of your New York Times questions, but as the Clippers? He's Harden. I'm Zoo.
I honestly would like that bit even more.
They're John Collins.
I would love to be John Collins.
Well, as a team, we should talk about this team on paper because the offseason was very interesting. I mean, I don't know if it's the expendables, but there's just a lot of veteran talent on this team at this point.
Yeah.
It's unlike anything I've seen in recent years because it's not just like the Lakers era, Karl Malone, Gary Payton team where it's just like one last run. It's like a lot of freaking guys. It's basically the whole team. Like, so between Chris Paul, Brook Lopez, Nicholas Batum, who's been in the league like 17 years, which goes unnoticed because he just looks so fresh and dewy. James Harden, Bradley Beal, Kawhi Leonard. There are 96 seasons of experience.
Wow.
Just between the two of them. And then the guys beyond him, Zubac, Dunn, Derek Jones Jr., John Collins, and Bogey.
Yeah.
Those are all 8+ years veterans.
All vets.
And that's another 43 years. So
yeah,
it's one of the wisest team. I
Yes.
don't know if that necessarily how much that will be effective when you have a team like the Thunder where everybody's like 22.
True.
But there's something to it.
I mean, it's an older team. I think what separates them from the Warriors in my mind, and this was sort of an either or for me in the ranking, it's like, what do you do with Golden State and the Clippers? I think the Warriors are better positioned as a playoff team. I think the Clippers, even despite the age of that roster, because of the depth, are better positioned as a regular season team. And so will Golden State get the chance to get to the playoffs in one piece and prove how good they are? We'll see. I think the Clippers is going to be right there on the page. Like, this was already a very successful team. I think they're going to have to be successful in different ways, though, with this roster because of all that change. Like, if you look at last year's team, they won 50 games. Incredible with the roster that they had and their ability to specifically dominate on defense with pressure and with Zoo's coverage on the back line. Incredible stuff. But you look at that team, the top 6 guys in minutes played, 1 and 2, Harden and Zoo, no problem. They're critical parts of this team even still. After that, Norm Powell, Derek Jones Jr., Chris Dunn, Amir Coffey, 2 of those guys are gone. The other 2 are less important now than they were last season, to the point that I don't know. I couldn't tell you right now what Chris Dunn's role is going to be. I could tell you what I would like him to continue to start because I think that's the best balance.
Is Jeff Van Gundy still on that bench?
He's still on that bench.
He's going to get some minutes.
And that's the thing is like, they're going to have to rework their defense. They're going to have to reimagine kind of how they were playing. But Jeff Van Gundy did such a great job with it last time around. I'm inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt that they will find ways to be a successful defense again.
You got Zoob. You can be a damn successful defense. And to Rob's point, like, even when I look at it, it's like, Chris Paul, you're not going to play more than 12 minutes a game. Brook Lopez is Zoob's backup. Like, these roles that these guys have are more than manageable. That's what I think is different, where, like, you know, depending on injury luck and all of this stuff, like, we could see Draymond, Jimmy, Steph averaging over 35 minutes a game. That's not great.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of the wear and tear for those guys. Whereas the Clippers veteran guys, nobody's going to be asked to do that much heavy lifting. So, yeah, the depth is different, man.
Probably one of the best benches in the league if they could
Yeah.
sort out the rotation in a way that makes sense. Going to be a lot of ball handlers to kind of wade through because you'd assume Beal might want to run some second units. Chris Paul obviously is going to want his hands on the ball. If he does play it, how much does he play?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like an unsung little story here. It's like the whole Kawhi situation to disrupt what was setting up to be a farewell tour to one of our guys. And I imagine Chris Paul was very intentional, as he is about everything, about picking the Clippers as his final team.
Yeah, he's like the comptroller of Lob City now.
That's right, the city councilman. You know, year 21.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little bit more muddled probably than what was a
Yes.
nice little storyline for them. But there's a lot of options here, and I do like that it's also leaning into their size advantage that they already had by basically not only getting if there's anyone bigger than Zoo, it might be Brook Lopez. They're probably 1A, 1B in some order. And then you have John Collins as a power 4, basically getting a chance to play competitive basketball for the first time in 3 years.
It's been a long time. I mean, I love everything that they can throw out there. Some combinations I'm excited about. One you just hit on, Justin, which is I think if Chris Paul and Brad Beal can play together a fair amount, and I would love for them to come off the bench together. We haven't seen Beal play with like a true playmaker of that caliber since John Wall.
Yeah.
And so getting him off the ball more, playing into his strengths in that regard, I would be really excited about. I think James Harden and John Collins feels super important to this team structurally. He's a kind of player they haven't really had before. I mean, I guess you could argue Derek Jones Jr. is a lob threat in a similar way, but he's so limited offensively otherwise. John Collins can handle. He can shoot. He can finish. He's really flexible, moving in and around the basket in a way that I think is really exciting, playing off of Harden and all the attention he draws. And then Brooke Lopez and his Disneyland season pass. I mean, thrilling times for everyone involved.
Oh man.
Yeah, I like the John Collins deal because it felt like they were doubling down on their defensive identity from last year, while also like this guy is not, he's not a Chris Dunn or Derrick Jones on offense. Like he can still do things, but it's adding just a little bit more physicality, a little bit more oomph at the four. Then look, Derrick Jones, man, he did yeoman's work
Did a great job.
for them last year. He even did a little bit of rim protection at times for
Yep.
them. Like he did a lot. I just think Collins brings a different dynamic on the boards and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I love the depth. I love the Collins move. I'm just like you said, I'm fascinated to see how they fit everything around this regular season. And I do really hope they maintain that defensive
Mhm.
posture that they took, where it's like, yo, we're gonna suffocate people. And in offense, look, we got Kawhi, we got James Harden. We could put things together offensively, but defensively, we're killing people every night.
A lot of guys, but one of those instances where like I don't think anyone will mind.
Yeah.
Like, taking some plays off, taking some games
Taking
off.
some games off.
That's
Like,
the-
Especially like Chris Paul
Advantage of
proved
age.
he can play 82. Like it was an
Yeah.
incredible achievement.
Wild.
Does he have to do it again? I hope not. You know,
Yeah.
like again, they're going to need to balance that rotation over the course of the season because there are not a lot of young legs here. Like Yannick Conan Niederhauser
I
is
was
not
just
going
about
to
to ask
play.
you about this.
That's
dude.
right.
One of the surprise picks of the first round. Like there's just no room for guys in that position here anymore.
You big Conan guy?
You know what? I'm going to find out.
Okay.
I'm going to find out in the G League probably.
Okay. Well, a team that has a lot of young legs and is hoping that they have a little bit more experience underneath them in order to make a push here. Number 8, your Orlando Magic
Yep.
went through a big old overhaul in the offseason, bringing Desmond Bane in. They put their money where their mouth is. We've been talking about when this team is going to take the leap.
Yep.
They're ready for the leap. Unfortunately, the expectations come fast and furiously because this team is going to get very expensive starting next season, the season after this one, when the Paolo Banchero extension kicks in. So they're kind of on the clock ASAP.
They are. I mean, this is the funny thing about waiting to make the move is like if you make the move early, maybe you take away some developmental seasons. Maybe you don't get the draft picks that you would have gotten if you had slow played it, and the expectations come sooner. But if you wait, as the Magic have, to kind of make the trade specifically for shooting, something that everyone knew that they needed and wanted to do, there's still the buildup of expectations. There's still a mounting pressure, I think, for this team to be good, in part because everything else like seems to be there. And so now that they have the shooting, if it doesn't work, someone has to answer the question of why.
I'm extremely bullish on this team, as you guys know. I just think Bane is such a perfect bet to make because he's so proven and he's played in the context of I'm playing off of a Ja Morant, like a ball dominant kind of guard. So it's not as if for him to get off, he needs to have the ball constantly. But he's also, had to step in because Ja missed so many games.
Mhm.
So he has both of those things working for him in terms of like being able to play off of ball dominance elsewhere and being able to step into that role when it's called for. And his shooting is not theoretical. Like this guy,
Oh, yeah.
he's going to shoot the leather off of the ball, man. And I think they're top 4. Bane, Wagner, Jalen Suggs, and Paolo. Like to me, when you think about the youth, the athleticism, the motor, like
Yeah.
collectively, we're talking about dudes that play so freaking hard. I'm just really excited about what they could do around that, man. And it's just the age of these guys that I love the most because they can be relentless. Like you can see them maintaining it for a whole regular season and racking up wins that way.
One of the rare instances where I like this team, I like the move, but oddly enough, Bane is the one I'm least worried about going into
yeah.
this kind of leap season where it's like I kind of know what I'm going to get from him, and I think he's a problem solver in the way that they've always needed. Like he'll do a little bit of the on-ball stuff. You need him to, don't need that. Okay, he could just play off ball and do that. Forceful enough and meaty and mighty enough on the defensive end to fit that identity. Because even despite everything that happened last year, still second on defense.
Yeah.
This team.
That was not the problem.
But then I'm like, oh, is Paolo going to take the leap? Is Franz going to shoot it at any degree of consistency? And
Yeah.
is Suggs going to be healthy? And oh, by the way, is he going to shoot it as well?
Well, let's take those problems one by one. As far as Paolo,
Yeah.
I mean, he is the differentiating factor for this team. I think, you bring in Baines, there's a lot of attention on that, but really what shooting does, what a shooter like Desmond Bane does, is in theory allow Paolo Banchero to be the best version of Paolo Banchero. And I think there are two things that he does that have kind of held him back offensively from being a true young star in the league. One of them, he just settles too much. Like, he hits the first wall of the defense and he gets a lot of pressure, in fairness, and he just settles for too many 16, 17 footers over the top of the defense that he's not like the best at. And so that drags down ultimately what is the biggest and most imposing physical force on the floor. Like, he should be able to get inside more often with better spacing. Hopefully he'll be able to do that. I think the other thing is, because of all that pressure and the way that defenses collapse on the Magic, he holds the ball like a little too long, trying to read what's going on and he's trying to make the right play. But the result of that is it kills clock and it leads to a lot like more turnovers than it should. And so you put one or two, like one dead eye shooter in Desmond Bane and anyone else who's hitting any shots out there, all of that math changes. All of those dynamics change. And then all of a sudden you're seeing a version of Paolo that hopefully can be getting to the basket and the line even more consistently than he does.
Yeah, see, that's why I'm not worried about Paolo. I think if he's allowed to operate in space, he's gonna do well.
Yeah.
Right.
I
He's
think,
already really good.
I mean, to me, the two questions are Franz Wagner, where it's like, make a shot. Because if he does, this
Yeah.
thing is like super scary. And Jalen Suggs just staying on the floor. Cause I think he proved last year when he played, he had just ascended to a whole other level when he finally played. So to me, it's just Franz Wagner, man. Like, actually understanding the stakes now, because that changes things too, and him like, coming into his own as a more well-rounded offensive player.
I want to give one reason for optimism on Franz Wagner's errant jump
Eurobasket?
shot. Not even Eurobasket.
Or is it God?
I mean, look, like that. Everyone playing for that Germany team is a totally different player over there. I mean, Franz is already a great NBA player. I thought his most successful stretch was on the ball last season with all the injuries. Like, really, really impressive stuff. The jumper was not necessarily the reason why over the longer term, and I think the hitch that was really developing over the back part of the year, very, very worrisome. But the way that hitch is like coming to be more prominent tells me this is like, I mean, it's a deeply psychological thing happening. It is a guy who is feeling the pressure to hit those shots because nobody else on the team can, and like kind of buckling under it a little bit for as good as he is in every other dimension of the game. I wonder if adding someone like Bane, who's like, that is our designated shooter. This guy is not, you would hope, Contavious Caldwell Pope coming in and the percentage suddenly cratering. Like, this is a star level shooter who's going to absorb a lot of those shots. And now Franz can just be a shooter and not a guy who has to hit that
That's
shot.
fair.
And I wonder if that relief might actually help him a little bit.
A little bit of stage fright.
A little bit of,
perhaps?
I mean, I don't know how else to explain the fact that he was good and then all of a sudden 2 back-to-back sub 30% shooting seasons in a row.
Well, you're right though. He felt like a different player when Paolo was out, and he had the keys to kind of run things himself. And
Yeah.
perhaps it's as simple as comfortability and like how he's getting those shots. But I think you're right that Franz is probably the start of the chain reaction in order to figure things out. Because I think Paolo plays on a different level when he has the space. The space comes from Franz being aggressive and being able to step out and hit shots in the
Yeah.
playoff games where he's been able to do that. You've seen Paolo take a leap, be a little bit more careful with the ball, and then Paolo being able to create filters down to the Suggs types. And you saw that last year where Suggs was basically the main guy for a long stretches because both Paolo and Franz were out.
And was doing a damn good job
Jalen
of it,
Suggs
by the way.
rules.
He's a baller, but then you
Yeah.
look at like the finer details, and it's just like that was another poor shooting season from Jalen Suggs
Yep.
after what was practically a 40% 3-point shooting season the season before. It seemed like he
Yes.
turned things around. I think he's still a good shooter.
Me too. I think having to try to be like a Dame Lillard type,
I mean, they had him way out there.
that is
Yeah.
not suited to his skill set, I think. I think just being a guy who's catching and shooting with like a decent amount of space, I think he'll be fine again.
Yes. And to that point, 7 assists last season from Paolo Banchero. That's Suggs taking the shots there. 82 the previous season. So obviously having the helping hand, I think, will help him because he needs to be set up. He's not taking a lot of step back,
Yeah.
Kobe White shots.
This is the thing, like, Waz, you mentioned with their core 4 guys, like, they're almost like built in a lab to appeal to my basketball sensibilities, the way those 4 guys fit together.
Smash mouth basketball.
I mean, it is smash mouth. It's the intensity. It's the way that Franz Wagner drives into people. It's the way that Suggs will pick up anybody. It's the way they don't back down from any challenge. Like, there is a combination of interlocking skill and temperament that I think just really, really works if those 4 guys can stay healthy.
Yeah, they're like Detroit without the mania, right? Like they don't have a
Well-balanced
beef stew
Detroit Pistons.
or
Emotionally
or
mature,
like
yeah.
a Ron Holland, but that's another young team that like they found themselves when they discovered like, oh, we're like bigger, stronger, faster than everybody.
Yeah.
We should lean into that as our identity. And so, that's another thing I like about them. Like they kind of know who they are. And now it's just like, all right, these glaring weaknesses have started to be addressed in like a major way. So
I thought that was part of the problem last season too, where they had all of these kind of overlapping injuries where one of their core guys or multiple core guys were out at the same time, to say nothing about other role players who were out. It's like they did know who they were, and they were still guarding people. And it's like, this isn't working because we can't like their half court offense was abominable for most of the season. Like they just could not score. And there's a frustration that comes with that of like, we are playing our way and we're still losing these games because we don't have the firepower. But then you put everyone back. I don't think there's any question about the clarity of purpose and style and identity. Like the Magic are still the Magic.
Right. We have the essential question down here: is the Magic will win the East? If we kind of explained all the more finer details of it. I think top line takeaway is like hit some shots.
And I think
without sacrificing the defense.
Yes. And within that, if hitting those shots allows Paolo to take that jump.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I guess combination wise, I assume Wendell Carter would get the first crack at being the center because they need the offensive pop.
Yeah.
Any worries there?
I like Wendell, solid player. His 3 also has just like kind of abandoned him. It just has left him as a player.
Yeah.
And I think
we can call him a stretch big anymore.
Maybe not a stretch, but like can do other things, like good enough defensively to hold it down, works offensively, isn't like as big as you would like your big center to be if he's not going to be stretched. So that's a problem. The other problem is like Mo Wagner, who tore his ACL last November, December. I'm blanking on when exactly. We'll have to see kind of like what his availability is going to be. Really important part of their team, was in the running for 6 man, like one of the highest scoring reserves in the league last season before he went down. And if he's out for a continued significant like period of time, then it's Wendell and Goga and
Jonathan Isaac playing more than 12
Jonathan
minutes a
Isaac
game.
playing 5, which, not without its merits.
Yeah, I do love at the end of last season, not the 2 seasons ago, where they like went to the end of the season. Is like, we're finally letting it loose, and it just didn't make a difference. It's nice to have that option, but the whole Isaac experience is interesting for a lot of different reasons. We mentioned that they were second defensively. They ended up being a negative in net rating overall.
Crazy.
And that's because the offense was 27th.
That's tough.
This is the thing. If they just get to league average offense, they are a dominant team.
Yeah.
So that's where the bar is, and it's very achievable for them. Definitely doable.
So I think we all agree they're like after Cavs and Knicks, they're the next team.
And I feel like they're knocking on the door if everything breaks right.
Yes.
All right.
Can I name one more guy on this front? This feels like a really critical Anthony Black season. Because
bro.
One name we haven't mentioned, they brought in Tyus Jones as another backup guard. A Magic team that has both Tyus Jones and Desmond Bane doesn't have to play Anthony Black
at all.
And so now he's in a position where it's like, and he's just had like such a weird like fits and starts kind of start to his career. He has to justify his minutes. Like he has to earn that time. And we'll see if he's cut out for that or not. I don't know. I don't know if he's
like
there.
He's there, Jonathan Kuminga.
Could be. Or perhaps they're Amen Thompson, where it's like, we tried you as a ball handler, but now you're just going to be our wreck shit up defender.
Could be interesting.
All right. Next team on the list, number 7, the Los Angeles Lakers, who if we cut to them, let's say like early July, it would have been like the Donald Glover and Community walks into the door and everything's on fire thing that I love. Bring up once a month practically. LeBron miffed. How dare you lean into someone who isn't me and build the team around him? The team isn't enough, not enough defense. We saw this. What is this team? It's a calamity. And then all of a sudden, Luka Doncic takes some thirst traps and it's a whole different situation.
Yeah.
And I think it's warranted.
Yeah.
I think him just looking svelte just completely changed the face of the team. And it also sounds like, based on the reporting, Dan Wojcicki and other guys, like they're starting to think about the team a little bit differently after he signed the extension,
Yes.
after he got in shape, showed that he's serious about things. And so I don't know, I'm kind of buying it a little bit.
I'm waiting. I want to see how it ultimately does coalesce, because I think even the version of Luka that we got on the Lakers is a great regular season player last year.
Sure.
But in the playoffs, you saw like it just wasn't good enough for what playoff defenses can bring to bear when you consider the roster that was around him.
Right.
Right. So I just want to see what the new and improved Luka actually means on the floor. I actually want to see what's different. Like, is he actually getting to the paint more?
That's the one. Are you getting all the way to the basket?
All the way to the basket, because that's the thing that suffered the most, and it's in the numbers. Like, this guy straight up just wasn't getting the paint touches that he was. So we'll see if that's the case. And then, you know, my guy Jovan Buha was watching his show, and he's like, LeBron dominating, Luka guaranteed 3 starters.
Yep.
And then the backcourt minutes, it's Rui, Marcus Smart, Gabe Vincent,
Austin.
and Austin Reeves. Like, how do you balance? Obviously, it feels like Austin is a made man over there.
Yeah.
So he's going to start. So who's
going to guard guards?
Who's guarding anybody
Yeah.
with speed on this team? And I guess that's Marcus Smart, bro.
Does he know that?
Jeez.
I think he hopes that's his role.
I think he will probably get that crack, just because they do need someone to at least try it. And like Austin is not cut out for that kind of role. Rui is not. Luka's not going to do it. This is why, ultimately, one of the reasons I'm bullish on the Lakers is they have had time now to reimagine themselves as a Luka team.
Yes.
Some of that is personnel based. Some of it's just going in knowing that's what you are. I don't think they're going to recapture that like February stretch of really good defense. Like, that's not who they are. They don't have, as we just said, point of attack defenders. They don't have lock and trail guys who are going to chase shooters around screens. And on the back line is DeAndre Ayton, who, for whatever attractive qualities he may have as a player, protecting the rim is not one of them.
It's not dominating on the defensive
That
line.
is not the area in which he is dominating. So that's not who they're going to be, but their offense is going to be great.
Yeah.
Because Luka Doncic is going to be great. Like, I am buying the thirst traps. I think he's going to win MVP. Like, I just think it's going to be that kind of season.
Oddly enough, they are built defensively to guard the Dallas Mavericks because they're all power forwards. It seems like those are the guys that they have available to them. But I think you're right. I think the offense could be push your rig back type good.
Yeah.
If Luka is as sharp as he looked in Eurobasket, which he always does, but this time he's had a little bit of gusto to his play. I think the other part of this is just how much is LeBron going to be engaged in the situation. I think he will ultimately come around because he realizes the opportunity. He doesn't have many of them left. And also, like, this was the best opportunity on the board after he opted in.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Like, opting out, save for being like, yo, I'll go take a mid-level for a contender.
Yeah.
You weren't like, you didn't have great options to get paid and be on a contender. That just wasn't the case. This is a good team.
Yeah.
It's just, not balanced in terms of offense and defense.
They have a little more to prove than some of the teams we have yet to talk about in the West, just because they are reinventing a thing. And Luka is coming back from his injuries last season and needs to prove that he is still the player who could take a team to the NBA Finals. I just happen to believe in that stuff. And I think they're going to be right there in the mix with some of these great teams in the West. And Luka's a huge reason why. I think it is, the question is, can he get to the basket more consistently? Can he penetrate past the first line of defense without relying on the step back so much? And also, if he is lighter and in better shape, just carrying the load over the course of full games is going to work in his favor a little bit better. And also, hopefully he can stay healthier as a result of that stuff.
I also think the question is, how much does his buy-in and the Lakers projecting that they're now willing to be a little less precious about the cap space going forward? How much does that factor into what they're willing to change on the fly over the course of the season? Now, it's a little tricky because LeBron makes so much money, can't really do much with him. Austin Reeves, you would want to keep because if LeBron walks next offseason, then Reeves is your guy. You've built him up to be like the shining boy wonder of this team. If Luka himself isn't that, are you more willing though to change things on the fringes? They only really have 2 first-round draft picks owed at this point, which is wild to say because we've been counting Lakers draft picks for what seems like half a decade. There are options here on the board. I mean, we talked in the past about Andrew Wiggins as someone they've had perhaps an interest in, but there are better versions of Andrew Wiggins. But that's what they need. They need a wing type of player who that they can ask to guard people because, as we mentioned, it's defense first and foremost.
Yeah, they need somebody who's closer to Alexander Walker than a Wiggins.
I think that might be true.
You know, like somebody who so for Marcus Smart, who we haven't seen play since what 22.
He's played.
He played at the end of last season with the Wizards, but he was paced out.
Yeah.
How much did he finish games? He looked good for what it's worth in those games, but it's like.
But he's looked good when he has played over the last couple of years. He's looked good guarding 3s and 4s.
Yeah.
Like
that's what I'm saying.
He's good at playing up. That's what his skill set is. At
even
this point.
his last year in Boston, you know, coming off of defensive player of the year and all of that kind of thing.
Not my defensive player of the year. Not my vote.
In Boston, he was carrying a bigger load than anything close he's going to be asked to do with the Lakers. To me, it's just like, does he actually still even have the legs for it?
Yeah.
Because like nobody wants you to dribble and take shots at the end of the shot clock and step backs and be anybody's leader. He don't got to be any of that in LA. But like, can he streamline whatever he has left in his body to this defensive stopper type of role? You know.
The case for was that he just didn't really have a clear fit in Memphis because he got hurt. And then it's just like things were a little bit more mixed. They'd have so many guys that they didn't really need him. They didn't rely on him. And he kind of got shuffled around a bit, ended up in Washington as a contract dump, didn't play much there. And so like, was it circumstance more than did he lose something?
Sure.
I would guess it's a little bit of both at this point. Yeah. But if there's enough of the old Marcus Smart defensively, that's really all they need him for.
31.
Because there's enough offense.
I think this is another thing I think is working in the Lakers' favor. There's just like a lot of motivating factors, right? There is Luka on his revenge tour, a guy who I guess you didn't believe he would be motivated enough, so you traded him to give him the ultimate slight and like chip on his shoulder for the rest of his life. Sure. LeBron, eager to still prove that he can be the best version of himself at this age he can be. Mark Smart trying to show he can still be that guy with a chance to compete for something. Even DeAndre Ayton, who again, is not a perfect player, but the comparison point is Jackson Hayes. Like that's where the bar is.
Also playing to get off the minimum cycle. Because that's the next phase of this.
So there's a lot of guys who are like eager and in positions to prove something to somebody, whether it's to themselves or to, you know, the public or other teams or agents or whatever. But like there's a lot of guys playing for things, and that can be an exciting mix.
How do you guys feel about the Luka PR blitz? Because in addition to him actually looking good and wanting to sell that, there's been a lot of like Luka and in traditional media that typically at this point in our cycle where like people aren't doing magazine cover stories or softball.
You're saying like, why isn't he on with the Kelsey brothers?
Yeah, a little bit. It's a little traditional and it's a lot. Like I know too much about his business manager in part because she's just everywhere. A classic case of like after the trade, Luka's doing a sit down with Malika Andrews and they're talking about, oh God, it was so sad, yada yada. And I threw my phone and she's like, here's the phone. It's right here. It's broken. You want to see it? It's just like, on the one hand, I get it. He's taking his opportunity to be the golden boy because he was never that with Dallas. He never really seemed like wanted to be in the public eye.
I don't think he's taking I think he's taking a responsibility. That's what it feels like to me. He's becoming a fucking man. Like, you are the face of the biggest team in the NBA. Like, it's your job to lead this team, to lead the league, to be who you are.
This is what it means to be the superstar of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Like,
it's a magic thing. Yeah.
Yes, to me, he's finally stepping into the role that we've all been like, bro, it's you, right? Like, go out and take your job seriously. Every facet of it. That's what it feels like to me. Not a guy who's like, oh, I'd like to get my Q rating up. It's like, oh, like, this is what comes with the actual job. Sure. Not whatever the fuck I was doing in Dallas before.
I mean, that was also pretty good for the most part.
On the court.
Not to say it wasn't pretty good, but again, like, we're happy about the, you know, what was that reality show, The Black Swan?
What is The Black Swan?
Yeah,
Black
it was like,
Mirror? Or?
I think it was the Black Swan where the person got like a makeover, basically.
Okay.
You know, like they
Yeah.
got plastic surgery.
It's a she's all that situation.
Yeah, that kind of
Just remove the
situation.
glasses, but with surgery.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds
To
dark.
me, it's and the same thing with Zion. It's almost an indictment, bro. Like NBA Finals, Conference Finals, max contracts. None of that was enough to make you want to take an offseason
Okay.
seriously.
You need personal vengeance. Yeah.
Putting Luka and Zion in the same bucket.
Well, no.
Not right.
Luka is more excusable because he was actually achieving
Yes.
Yeah.
while fat, where Zion was
All he
underachieving
did
while fat.
was like have amazing playoff performances and go on long playoff runs. That's all he did the whole time he was there.
The bar's
sure,
different
but we could draw a straight line to his lack of seriousness in that category to the failures that happened, where he's getting pantsed on defense on national TV
Yes.
against Boston and
That's
just
a real
running
thing.
out of gas and stuff like that,
For
right?
sure.
It's great that he's doing it now, but it's like, Nico Harrison had a point. Not that the trade was good,
Yes.
but he had a point.
Yes.
I will just say, circling back to this PR strategy, because I just want to talk about it for whatever
please.
reason.
Yeah.
I don't think it's in his best interest, though, to be so out there, because I just don't think he's interesting. And I don't think the polished Michael Jordan approach to PR strategy works anymore, because I think people can see through it. And I think like he's taking a very stock up thing where he's just giving access but not giving anything. I still don't know who Luka is personally.
Yeah.
Like it almost works the opposite way. I'm like, what are you hiding? Like,
I mean, I think we know who he is, and it's a young guy who plays a lot of video games and just moved to Los Angeles. Like, it's not
is that
that
you too?
well. The video games less so these days, also not the young part. But I don't know that it's more complicated than that.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately, maybe you're giving people too much credit for actually reading these stories. Like it's a tough sell
fair.
on some of these big glossy features sometimes.
But the fact that he's trying is different because he didn't try. Am I wrong? In Dallas,
Oh,
really?
this is definitely a level of outreach and I think proactivity on the media front from Luka that is very different.
Yeah, I read his media style as just he's new still.
Yeah.
Even this far into his career, this prominent a player that he's been, he's just not used to it. He's not used to doing it. So he's not gonna be good at it automatically. I don't see why he can't. If he continues to stay open, I don't see why he can't one day do a better version of whatever the fuck Braun was doing on McAfee that day. Right?
What was Braun doing on McAfee that
He
day?
was doing a lot. I was
Letting it
entertained,
rip.
but I know it was bullshit, right?
Yeah.
But like it's a recognition of like, oh, let me try to do something different and interesting. I think Luke, but this is a guy who's been doing it for 25 years.
Yeah.
Right? Understanding the sort of nuances of just like, I can't just sit down with Malika. Like, in order to make a splash, I got to do the McAfee thing. But again, that's somebody who's been doing the media manipulation game for 2 decades plus. Luka, which is literally his first summer ever,
Yeah.
he's just like, look, I'm on TV.
It took LeBron going to Miami and experiencing the backlash to really
Yes.
It's true.
figure that out as well.
Yeah.
He was always more of a polished character and
He was
personality.
polished, but he was definitely more unvarnished.
Yes. He's less
Then-
careful.
Yes, less careful than after the Miami thing.
That's true.
But then that all comes around in the same way we saw with Kobe, where he was doing the fake Michael thing when he first came in, which was so fucking annoying. And then, he got into all of that trouble. And then he came back on the other side of that of just like, the fuck you, Black Mamba.
Needed
say
a new
whatever I
PR
want.
strategy after that one.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's part of the evolution, I think.
Yeah. I just would like to know one anecdote about Luka Doncic. Like, I don't know anything about him personally. Like, just not like I work hard and I play well. It's like,
I
own a fucking boa constrictor.
don't want to be.
I think they're sick.
I don't want to be.
Lizard guy.
I don't like how this is gonna sound, but like, I got a call that I could get Luka 1-on-1 this summer.
Okay.
But I was unavailable. There was like nothing I could do. I was unavailable.
Yeah.
It would have been different than Tim and Malika.
Oh,
There's
so
no
you're
it's not disrespecting her. She's one of the best people in our business.
Okay.
me and Luka's interview is gonna be different.
You're like the Frost in the Frost Nixon.
Yeah,
You're the guy to bring it on.
It's gonna be a little bit different.
But to clarify, what's separating you from the people who did interview Luka Doncic is you did not make yourself available to interview one of the best basketball players
I
in the world.
literally couldn't do it. But also, I would have treated it as if Luka never talks to me again, I don't care.
Sure.
That's what the difference would have been. ESPN, they want to maintain a relationship with Luka. Group chat, it's a little different.
I want to be able to throw shots at his weight if he ever gets off the treadmill
I
this
would
season.
have asked some different questions. That's all I'll say.
I would say your interview with Jared Allen was different than anyone he's ever had before.
It's true.
And we love you for it.
A one-of-one interviewer, truly. Justin, I would have loved to see a conversation between you and Luka. You know, two gym bros now, two guys who've been getting after it. I just want to see what you talk about. I want to see what those two minds have in common.
That's right. Does he use dumbbells for his bench press?
Unclear.
Bands?
For all the details we know, we don't know those.
That's true. The Men's Health expose really didn't have much about anything except, what is it?
It did have some AI-generated fake facts. It did have that.
Right. Well, no, he fasts, right?
He does fast.
He fasts and eats a lot of protein.
Anyway, Luka Doncic really good. Probably going to be the MVP. Honestly, even if he was just as good as he was as a Maverick, I think the Laker amplification machine will make it so clear how good he is that he will win.
Yeah. Probably another guy on the short list in that running for MVP, Anthony Edwards. The Minnesota Timberwolves clock in at number 6, last team on the docket for this episode. You know, I kind of had a revelation as I was doing the rankings where I was trying to find a team for my 5th spot, basically. Because I think the first 4 are pretty locked in. We can get into that in the next episode. But then I was left searching for who's that next team up. And my inclination coming off of the offseason was to ding the Timberwolves just because they're in a broader sense, a lesser version of what they were last year. They lost Nickeil Alexander-Walker, a big part of their defensive identity. They picked Naz Reid essentially over bringing him back. And so you want to think maybe they won't have as much. But as I was talking my way into it, I'm just this team is just so rock solid. And I know it's a kind of a blogger way of looking at this. I think Terrence Shannon or whoever fills those Nickeil minutes, could maybe solve who wins the West next season. I think it's as big as that.
They're an awesome team. And they give Denver in particular fits. And so it's if you're this good and you have a potential kind of inside matchup track on one of your, some of your prime competition, you have to take them super seriously. And you have every reason to think that Anthony Edwards is going to be a half step better, if not a full step better this season. And that maybe one of those young guys, maybe it's Shannon, maybe it's Jalen Clark, maybe it's Rob Dillingham. And we could, if you want to power rank how confident you feel about those 3 guys, I think we're probably in alignment on Shannon being the most immediately promising of those 3.
Yes.
But they do need them. They're going to need more contributions from them, not just replacing Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but offsetting Mike Conley. As much as it makes me feel like my bones are turning to dust as I say it, getting older and less effective every year we go on.
Yeah, it's funny because in the previous episodes, we've talked about the continuity and collective identity of the likes of Detroit and Orlando. When Minnesota has that, but it's Western Conference Finals level.
That's just what they do. Get to the Western Conference Finals.
They've got that continuity and identity of a team that's gone to deep playoff runs. And credibly, we can say their best player, his best NBA basketball is still yet to come.
Yeah.
So that's why they're still a fun and exciting team. And, my thing is they play well every postseason. Every playoffs, they do their thing.
Yeah.
Even when they played Memphis as a way lower seed, and it's their first time in there, and it's Ant Edwards' first time. They drove Memphis to the brink in that series and have just kept doing this every playoff. So, they got my utmost respect. I don't know about Anthony Edwards having a post game now. I don't know.
He's just in the full superstar development cycle. You pick your path, but then you just follow the beats that every other star has already done.
Is he working out with Olajuwon?
I don't know if he added the Hakeem wrinkle, but he definitely He's got a post game.
Okay.
Akeem really figured out like the best racket in the game.
Oh, yeah.
You know, really incredible stuff from him.
Just personal training.
Personal training, little fee on the side, like it's good work, you know?
The pathway for Minnesota to be incrementally better is just like so easy. It's just Anthony Edwards playing another year healthy. And it's also Jaden McDaniels playing more like the second half of the season than the first half. Like that alone probably leads to a couple wins. And there's stuff on the fringes that they need to figure out, but it feels like more of a playoff, like long-term trajectory sort of conversation rather than will this be a really good regular season team?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think ultimately the question is like, are they the Buffalo Bills of the NBA where they keep making the Western Conference Finals? Or like, is there enough in-house to make a leap? And I think it's a lot of the young guys are probably going to dictate that.
Thank you for explaining that because I don't know anything about the Buffalo Bills.
That's so funny.
They made it to 4
consecutive
Super
Super Bowls and lost all 4.
Wow.
It's
That's
brutal.
fucked up.
Yeah.
They almost won a couple too. Or the first one, they definitely almost beat the Giants.
The Giants, yeah.
I mean, this team absolutely can be slightly better. I think the concern with the Wolves is not will those guys that you mentioned find ways to improve. It's have teams like Denver, because of their additions, kind of leapfrogged Minnesota in the pecking order. Houston, who we're going to talk about a little later, like they're a little harder to suss out without Fred VanVleet for the foreseeable future. But by adding Kevin Durant, to say nothing of Dorian Finney-Smith and these other pieces, have they kind of jumped over the Wolves? There's just more teams kind of at Minnesota's level. That I think there's going to be more for them to figure out, but they do win these series. They do win these matchups. Like they have a lot going for them, and I think still a lot of reason for optimism.
Also, we have them 6th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in a hypothetical series where like, there were no conferences, like, would it be surprised if they beat the Knicks?
No.
Or the Cavs?
No.
Or Houston? Or even Denver, who they just been mopping the fucking floor with. Like, it's kind of crazy, right? When you really sit and think about the collective talent and what they've already achieved in meaningful basketball settings. So, yeah man, I'm every year I'm excited to see what the Wolves do. So this
not
year
to
is no
mention
different.
just dissected the previous version of the Lakers too.
Yes.
And so I think that's part of the reason why they get a slight edge over LA and these sorts of rankings. Like you just have to acknowledge the success that the Wolves have had and the fact that it is built on something so sustainable. Two-way play, good quality bigs, Ant and Jaden and kind of, the steadying hand of Mike Conley, Dante DiVincenzo, I think coming on even stronger could help them as well if he finds, taps into some parts of his game again. There's just a lot here that you can hang your hat on as being a really high-level basketball team.
Yeah. Obviously, we talked about defense with the Lakers, though, and defense is a key part of the identity for Minnesota. They don't have Nikhil on the wing, and he was such a big part, especially of their playoff defense. I do find myself wondering, in retrospect, that decision, Nas versus Nah.
Well, it wasn't really a decision.
Kind of was.
Because of the bird rights situation, because
Yeah.
they don't have Nikhil's bird rights, they can only offer him $8 million. So it's like, you could tear your team down completely and say, like, preserve Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but really it's just like, I think a sign and trade is kind of a win under the circumstance. Like doing anything, because he was out the door. They could not logistically pay him.
They didn't ultimately fill the spot, though, because they're hoping to turn it over to some of the young guys. And I think that's a reasonable bet. But I think that goes to the construction of their team. And like what makes them unique is to have all those bigs and have Nas be able to play with your center type of guys. But like, Nikhil is very valuable when you need to stick him on a playoff wing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, he's not the kind of player where when you kick it out to him, there's certain these 3-and-D types where the second they dribble, you're just like, no, stop. Like, he's not that. Like, you didn't feel like the Titanic was sinking when he was dribbling the rock. He made himself a reliable shooter. Obviously, the defense is there. I don't know that Terrence, we know he's not going to be as good as Nikhil was last year, this year. But, reasonable facsimile paired with an elevated Anthony Edwards and, just the guys being better at just being being teammates.
Yeah.
The guys that are left, maybe that, makes all the difference. But I do think, in terms of if you had to choose between Naz Reid and Nikhil, the league being as perimeter oriented as it is, I might be inclined to be a Nikhil guy, to be honest.
I think that's kind of the crux of the thing. Is like, regardless of like the mechanics involved, they do need Nikhil Alexander-Walker type players, or Terrence Shannon type players. Like, they're not very similar in style, but if Terrence Shannon can give them some energy and some juice offensively in a way that's different from Nikhil, like, that's a really useful thing for them to have.
Yeah, played well in summer league. We should mention is also older, and so like presumably a little bit more ready than perhaps someone like Rob Dillingham. I look at it as Shannon is the stabilizer of what they've already built, and Dillingham is the potential to be something different. And right now, different hasn't necessarily been good because he hasn't really been able to crack the rotation. And I don't know if he's been able to really distinguish himself enough about like what he would do on the floor or how he would play off of Ant in a way that would really meaningfully change that approach to him. I don't know. Is he going to be an on-ball guy and Ant plays off of him? Is he going to play off of Ant? And does he have the juice overall in order to earn those minutes when you assume the defense is going to be a sacrifice?
He needs to hurry up and figure it out because Mike Conley is like, bruh, we're putting a lot on this guy at his age with his mileage. Like, somebody needs to step into that role that's handling the ball, that is more distributive. And I think Julius Randle went a long way in
he was
like
great.
carrying some of that burden and making himself into more of a pass first player on certain possessions. But like, they need a point guard that isn't Mike Conley to be able to create, especially when you have Rudy and another big on the floor with him. Like, for goodness sake, Rob Dillingham, step up.
They need that Ninja Turtle meme of like Splinter with the young turtles and then the old turtles helping old Master Splinter. They need that from Rob Dillingham. They need the full Ninja Turtle treatment.
I assume Conley at the very least is coming off the bench now.
And start Dante or start who?
That would be the hope. Although, are you going to put that much trust in Ant kind of being more of a ball handler, or are you just hoping that Julius does enough supplementary that like collectively we have enough in that first unit?
I think that's kind of the trick of this team is like they actually do have a lot of guards and they have a lot of bigs. And then there's Jaden McDaniels in the middle. And he's kind of like the pivot piece as far as making these combinations work. If you decided you wanted to lean bigger or smaller, but they could play Dante there. And I think it could work because Ant has that ball handling ability. And maybe Conley at this point is more impactful as a stabilizer off the bench than he would be with that starting unit. I don't know. But like that's one of the big things they have to figure out is which guard combinations make the most sense to get Ant through the season, facilitate the development of these young players, and prove that you can be like a rock solid playoff team yet again.
How you feeling about Julius Randle? Year 2 in Minnesota.
I mean, he's earned my respect for sure in a way that I just wasn't anticipating because he went out of his way to kind of mold his game and its strengths around the guys that were around him. Like back in the days, it kind of felt like Julius Randle was a blunt object. Whereas last year, especially in the playoffs, it felt like he was being more of a Swiss Army knife. Like what the occasion called for, he could bring to bear. And so I'm interested to see him doing even more of that. You know, like God only knows what else he's capable of doing if it's like, oh, like I can apply myself to the team and be a contributing player that isn't just me getting buckets, dropping 25, right? It felt like back in the days, Julius Randle had it in his head. If he wasn't dropping 25, he wasn't being a contributing player. Whereas now, like, it feels like he is like better at screening. He is better at facilitating. He is just straight up recognizing different matchup disadvantages and stuff. Or like, even when some guys, they will gain an advantage, but they kicked it out because it's like, oh, like the defense is committed. So it's like, oh, I can't put up a shot right now.
Yeah.
Like the only play is the pass out. Whereas like last year, it was like, no, he was doing things to cause a reaction by the defense and then make a move after that. Like this is a evolution in the guy's game. I'm like, look, I'm not saying he's, you know, like some all-time great. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it was cool to see him, you know, basically sacrifice himself at the altar of the team, man. Like that's cool to see.
I mean, he has a sick run.
Yeah.
Surpassed even my wildest expectations for what he would be as a Timberwolf. And so with Randall, there's always the question of year over year. is it going to be the same
Oh my
thing?
God.
Are we getting back
There
into
are
a
always
cycle?
these highs and lows with Julius
It's just and we even saw them within the playoffs. Like there were
Playoffs,
some games in series where it's like, oh my God, he is the best player on the floor.
Yeah.
And then some games where he was sort of defining what their ceiling
He
is in a
bust
bad way.
LeBron James' ass in the
Straight
playoff.
up did it.
Killed him.
That's a clip you can take with you to your grave.
I just wonder though, like I think it's ultimately going to come down to which version you get of him. Probably again, unless they make some big old move, if they use Naz Reid in order to get something else. I don't know if that's frightening or encouraging though.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I think it could swing either way without much notice in advance.
He's paid up long term. Like
That limit motivation.
the team committed to you. I was like, you've gotten a taste of deep postseason run. You're playing with an incredible talent. Like, this is the best situation of his career. So, let's see.
Okay. Any other guys? Johan Berenger.
If Johan Berenger plays, things went real wrong.
Oui,
So
baby.
I support them taking their project to have on the back burner,
Yeah.
but there's a bunch of bigs here who need a lot of minutes.
New
And
Rudy.
I'm still a Rudy guy. I still think he's critical to this team. Even I have questions about like what are their best looks against which opponents.
Yes.
And this is where the Nas thing is complicated because it's like Nas is really important against the Nuggets, right? Like as much as you might have wanted to see them reallocate resources or even consider trade possibilities, it's like what makes them potent is their size.
And for whatever reason, he's not a great defender in most other circumstances, but he just
one's
guards
good.
Jokic
He
well,
really does.
and he spreads them out. So it's like it makes Jokic's deficiencies even harder to overcome. A lot of times these stretch bigs, it's like, how long is he actually going to be able to withstand the onslaught? But with Nas, it's like, oh, he's fine.
Yeah.
And he's making Jokic's life harder on the other end. It is, an interesting conundrum, but Julius, like he's not really a center,
No.
And Julius Randle, you just committed to. So if you can sort of balance out maybe some ball handling, maybe some wing help by moving on from him, that's definitely something to consider.
I worry the Nas contract's going to ultimately be pretty cumbersome on the back end. It's a lot of money for like your 8th most important player, 7th most.
You think Nas is their 7th most important player?
Nas is their 5th.
Okay.
He's still really good.
He's
And
5th.
Randall, Gobert.
Sure.
I would say DiVincenzo just because of what he like the role that he
No,
serves.
But Nas
I
is so much
wouldn't.
better than DiVincenzo.
I wouldn't. I would say
he was last
Jaden
season. I
Daniel.
think DiVincenzo on the Knicks was pretty.
He was good, but
I would say Jaden Daniel
Jaden
definitely
McDaniels.
Oh, yeah,
because
for
of
sure.
the position,
Yeah.
what he brings to bear defensively, like all of that stuff. And then it's Nas to
It's
me. like,
5.
yeah, he's the 5th.
I think he's the 5th.
Nas is the 5th.
We'll give you 5th.
And here's the thing. Ultimately, the money tied up between those 3 bigs is a lot. And I say that not because
so much goddamn money.
get your money, but they have to manage this on a cap sheet with Randall and Gobert and Nas Reid making
That's
like 90
70
million combined.
No, 85. No,
I think it's 87, 90,
80. Yeah, it's 87.
87, 88.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot of money.
A-Rod's got to sell a lot of Hot Pockets in order to afford that. Come on, a couple more Shark Tank appearances. All right, why don't we end it there? That's part, 5 of the preseason power rankings. One more to go, baby. We'll be back next time. Thank you to Victoria Valencia. Thank you to Isaiah Blakely, the #1 Terrence Shannon fan. And thank you to Ben Cruz. We'll see you next time.